Hello and welcome back to the month of January, and the updates we're going to be looking at in this video are mainly focused on VESC and EUCs. Jumping straight into it, we've got a video from Jeff from the Float Life, actually looking at another video, kind of like a reaction to a reaction video, of this new one-wheel device. To say on his video, one-wheel killer or just another Chinese clone. Biting, I guess, for that, but I get that from kind of the EUC market. And these two products which are coming out, the ADV Pro and the ADV, by a company called Floatwheel, which have been around for a while. This is new products they're trying to release in the next few months, I believe, sometime in 2023. And there's a lot of specs up there, a lot of kind of videos of people using them now, and this guy has gone into kind of detail as to how the board's set out. Quite interesting. It's a kind of third-party one wheel, which is not technically kind of legal due to all the patents that exist for the one wheel itself, but it's a Chinese company, so make of that what you will. And looked quite interesting as a product actually, with the kind of rails battery design. It's got battery cells in the rear pad and the front pad, so a bit more kind of balanced out. A much more powerful motor. So it's kind of interesting to listen to Jeff talk about this product here. Does mention that what they've quoted in terms of weight seems kind of way off, because what they describe in the product seems a lot heavier than maybe what's mentioned originally. So it's super interesting to see what happens with this. Also, price-wise, coming in cheaper than any of the one wheels that are currently on sale. So yeah, check that video out of Jeff from the Float Life. All linked below. Really interesting to get his take on it, see what's going to happen with that product. Also Float Life related, and this was mainly a big discussion about one wheels. This was the next podcast from the Float Life as well, and they had Ren on, big massive one wheel enthusiast. He says he currently has 6 one wheels, not all purchased by himself, but he's super into it. And most of the talk in this is about the VESC based one wheels, that are starting to crop up. Ren's on it talking about it for ages with Jeff, and you also get a guest appearance from Nico as well. He's one of the people who's putting a lot of effort into producing the VESC boards at the moment, or working on improving them. So again, really interesting to have a listen to this. It's just a good chat for 2 hours if you have that spare time. Moving on from that, this is still VESC based as well. We had Fungineers powering a video. This was about creating how to actually put together all their parts. So all their different parts you can build themselves, and they put a video together to kind of show it. Now it still seems, how do you describe it? Still very DIY. It's not something I think I'd still be capable of doing. We go a bit further into this video. It shows him with kind of individual parts, showing off building them, and if I can find the part of it as well, there's all the different implements they're using. You can see him kind of hot glue gunning stuff here. There's a section of this showing him soldering batteries, which is just not something that I have the capability or really want to do. End up setting fire to my house. So still a bit of a way to go, I think, with some of the kind of DIY parts, but it's really interesting to see what people are kind of doing and the progress we're making towards a more mainstream way of people being able to do them themselves. Let me know if you have built one, how easy you found it, whether you still think it's pretty difficult. I'd love to know. I've got a feeling I will do one at some point. I will build one, but we're probably still a couple of, maybe a year or 2 away from that just yet. But yeah, fascinating video to see kind of the tear down and the build up of the self-build there for this product. And an update for VESC. Mad Max, again, videos all linked down below, showing testing out some of the new firmware. So this is the ATR24. So Surf Dado's put out, constantly updating the firmware on it, and they were talking about how the Onewheel XR struggles to get over kind of higher gradient hills and things, and that's one of the things they've been working on. So it shows them here on this kind of BMX track, so I'm probably more mountain bike track, and kind of really fascinating to see the ups and downs, the board being able to clear some of the steep inclines, so the nose doesn't dip straight into the dirt. Kind of fascinating. He goes through it just for a few minutes. This video is only, 4 minutes long, but it's really cool watching him run around this. It shows him do quite a few of these ones here, and it's going up this really steep jump here, what it looks like, and not clearing it first couple of times because he's constantly tweaking the settings in the app on the Vesk app, and eventually does get up to the top of it. So again, not going to go through the whole video of that, but good to have a look yourself. And I love his board. Look at the setup for that. I think he's got the Enduro tyre on there. He's got the variable rails, so you can kind of swap out the centerpiece for it. Yeah, it looks really nice. Next part was moving away from Vesk and back to EUCs. So we had a bit earlier on, this was start of December, kind of missed this for a while. This was Kuji Rolls released a review for the V13. This was kind of well anticipated with the new wheel. Again, really good high quality review from Sky, showing off all the things you'd expect. I really love his kind of film and camera work as well. Always quite enjoyable to watch, and the places he rides as well. Interesting review in that kind of what he talks about is kind of high build quality, so good product in a way. Very big, it's a big wheel, very powerful, so kind of thing you'd expect. Also very expensive, and maybe too large in a way. And it also does mention about the suspension. The suspension has not changed a great deal. There's a big leap forward with the Sherman S suspension. It seems that obviously these other wheels from the InMotion ones still using the kind of original type of suspension that it had for all the way back to the V11, but certainly usable. But again, really good video, really good watch, 23 minutes long. Check the link below for that one. We also had Sang. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name properly, I'm sure I'm always butchering it. And he also did a review of the V13, so obviously they've received the wheels kind of somewhat in a similar time frame. This was in kind of middle of January 16th when he released this, and he was enjoying riding this wheel up and down the streets as well. Again, some of the things they mentioned about this is the weight and the size of the wheel. You do feel like you're cruising, and he does actually mention, it says in the title of this, the V13 is an electric motorcycle with just one wheel. And it seems to be a common thing that this product itself is getting so kind of big, well built, that it's becoming more like an actual kind of like motorbike in a way, the way that you'd expect them to be built. Obviously just a one-wheel device though, but it being the most expensive and the largest. Be interesting again to see what people think about this, so if you got any comments about it, let me know. I'm really fascinated to know who this wheel appeals to. Some of the negatives this guy points out, the size and weight of it. He said he had to change the foot pads halfway through and get some wider ones so he could grip better with. And he also showed a little bit of this of taking it a little bit off-road, a bit of dirt track, jumping over some tree branches and things, and just showing how much he kind of struggled with it just because manoeuvring the weight. So it's interesting. Combine that actually with the fact that they've done range tests on this. This brings on to the next video as well. This is by EVX. This is also the V13. It's a really well produced video. But he goes into a lot more detail in terms of things like braking distances because the weight of the wheel is so much heavier as well, and how that affects kind of riding. And they also mention the just showing a bit there, he's skidding out. It's really well produced, this video. I like it. Gyrocycle. Anyway, I lost my train of thought there. They were also talking about things like the battery life. So whilst you'd expect this kind of super expensive wheel to be at top of the range for everything, it's really good build quality. So the safety of the product is really good because there's a lot of redundancy built into it as well, with all the parts. So really top notch in terms of safety. But then some of the things have suffered, like battery life. Even though it's a really expensive wheel, it doesn't have a long battery range. So there's some range tests here. People are getting kind of, I don't know, 50, 60 miles out of it, maybe slightly less actually in terms of the riding conditions. It says advertised range of 200 kilometers. Nobody I've seen hit anything close to that, so that's crazy. But you would expect quite a large battery range for this, so it kind of brings me back to my question. Who wants to be spending that amount of money for such a large wheel that doesn't have a particularly large range? interesting. There's a lot of wheels out there, isn't there? Next one, we also had an update for the EX30. This was Electric Dreams. Again, the video was linked. Showing off, he got sent this wheel from Bigode. I think he has a pretty good relationship with them, so he gets them first usually. Showing off this product, and he did say he's given them quite a bit of feedback on it. So it's one of the kind of high-powered wheels, really fast wheel as well, and kind of similar suspension, I suppose, the air suspension to the V13. He did say there was some kind of negatives to it, and the suspension, the way it dips down, and the way the battery packs are built, means that when you've been going up some hills, the front of the battery pack was actually banging into the ground. So interesting to see what kind of they do with regards to the construction and manufacture of that. But again, another interesting video to check out for kind of a new wheel. Apparently Bigode released 10,000 wheels a year, so hopefully they'll focus more on the build quality going forward in the future. And then finally, just the last one that I noticed was recently we had a new video from Sly Dog Stroh. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name. His name's Andrew. He was the person who originally got me into Onewheels, into riding them. Just his videos, not a lot of people have the same thing. He used to create one-wheel videos, you can see on his page here from a couple of years ago. It got me really interested in it. But then transitioned away from Onewheels to EUCs. Had a bit of a stint off YouTube for a long time, and then he's just come back with a new video a couple of days ago. And he has the Sherman S, so he's showing that and he really enjoys riding this around. Yeah, just for a couple of days, he put 100 miles on it, so he's obviously really enjoying riding that. And he has a pretty unique riding style. He rides basically as fast as he can, and always enjoys kind of diving around the city. So I think he lives in Chicago, so we always got a lot of city riding videos in there. So always quite interesting to see. It's nice to see him back on YouTube as well, if he's enjoyed making the videos. And that's it for this month. A lot of videos, pretty much all of it has been on YouTube. Not seen much else in terms of news and etc. Like I said, you got any comments about mainly the V13? Who does that wheel appeal to? And also Vesk, the Vesk Onewheels. What we're going to call it? Float wheel? I don't know. We have to decide that at some point, don't we? Or the Vesk-based Onewheel. I think that's a terrible name for it. Have you built one yourself? Let me know. Otherwise, see you next month.